Well, hello there. How have you been, Kang? I'm excited to have you on the show. And we kind of got visiting before I even started recording because I know you have questions for me, but I have questions for you too. So hopefully today we can just have a cool conversation and catch up. And also, I want to share your story with my listeners. So if you would just say hello to them, introduce yourself, and tell them who you are.
Yeah, hi Mia. Thanks again for having me on. I'm excited about this. And yeah, yeah. If people don't know who I am yet, my name's Keng. I am a adult onset hunter, conservationist, and I run my blog Minnesota-hunter.com. Really, I do a lot of work in R3, specifically mentoring adult onset hunters, and also a lot of work with nonprofits and also with my state's DNR. So I do a lot of volunteering work as well. So
A lot of volunteering.
some
We
of
both do a lot of volunteering, huh? And it's like, what do we do for
yeah.
money? I always tell
Right.
myself, I'm like, okay, I'll do it, but figure
I
out how to
know,
make
but
money later.
yeah, it's so hard to say no to the communities and the organizations that need help. You know what I mean?
hmm
So yeah,
I do. And so,
yeah.
talking about organizations and communities for my audience, I wanted to let them know I first met King at the Professional Outdoor Media Association. We had a conference, I think it was the one in Franklin, Tennessee, where I met you.
Yes.
And
Yep.
I was on the board then, or actually, that was when I was just terming off of the board, but
Mhm.
you came up as a speaker and I just loved your enthusiasm and your story. And that's part of what I wanted to share with everybody. But I also wanted to catch up and just see where are you now and what have you been doing? Because I do follow you on social media, but sometimes
Mhm.
the algorithm doesn't show us the people that we're interested in, even
Right.
though it should know that we're interested. I don't
Yeah.
know.
And I should
But
be interviewing you. You have like I follow you on social too, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I need to sit down and talk with Mia. Like have a whole day just to talk with her.
yeah, definitely you need to come out and visit and we need to hang out so that then we can spend more time than just a short podcast visiting.
Yep.
Um, but so when you were at Poma,
Yeah.
you told us about your story and how it was kind of how you came to hunting. Is that was the goal then? And for my listeners, will you let them know that story?
Yeah. So how I got into hunting was through my dog Kaya. She is a German Wirehair Pointer. She's 6 now, so I've been hunting for 6 years. That's how I kind of remember how long I've been hunting. Um, but yeah, I got started because of her. My dad bought her to breed and to sell, and I was, as a person who's really compassionate about animals, I said, well, don't sell her. I'll just take her. And so I took her home at 3 months old, and we got home, and I said, we got to start hunting. That's how do we do this, right? And ever since then, it's just been an uphill journey, really.
Yeah,
Really, I guess, how do you say, enriching for both me and her. So,
for you and her. And so what
yeah,
kind of dog is Kaya?
she's a German Wirehair Pointer.
German
Yeah,
wire hair pointer. And
yeah,
so, being a German wire hair pointer, you knew that she's bred to be a bird dog. Is that why you decided you had to start hunting?
yep, exactly. So
Yeah.
my dad is a big hunter himself already. So he does deer, squirrel, and pheasants majority of the time. And so he bought her to breed with his dog, which is also a German Wirehair Pointer, to do more pheasant hunting, right? And so that's what got me into pheasant hunting is knowing that she is going to be a pheasant hunting dog. So yeah, that's
Yeah. And
yeah.
it's been pretty cool to watch your training videos and stuff like that. And when you started hunting and your learning process, did you just immediately start sharing the process on your social media with all your followers?
Yeah, I did. Growing up, I wasn't really, I guess I was kind of quiet, not really, outgoing as much. Maybe just because I wasn't really passionate about anything. I haven't found that anything I was passionate about. And so when I started hunting, I was like, wow, I love to do this. This is what I'm really passionate about. And that's when I just kind of started sharing, also seeing that there wasn't much Hmong people. So I'm Hmong American. My parents came from Laos, and there wasn't much of a Hmong influencer in the outdoor space. And so I kind of wanted to share my story and hopefully be a champion for, not just Hmong people, but for adult onset hunters, right? That want to get into hunting. And so that's where I started sharing on social and going from there, so
Yeah, seeing who
yeah.
you could influence or inspire, or who
Yeah.
needed to learn more about hunting or even training dogs.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
because that's
Yeah.
something, and why I asked about the whole dog thing is because I actually do have family members. When I first got social media, I had a Weimaraner, a bird dog, and so I have family members that they loved my dog because she is so beautiful, and they got a bird dog, but they live in the city and in the backyard, like the dog just hangs out there. And
Hmm.
it kind of, I've asked before, like, don't you want to help her do what she's bred to do? And of course, they're not hunters,
Yes.
so she's not. So I really admired that you're like, well, this
Hmm.
dog has a purpose, and you kind of took that and have you, the two of you are teaching each other. It's really cool.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I thought I taught her stuff, but she's definitely taught me a lot more, with patience and just being a person, being human, right? And so, yeah,
Yeah,
it's been
definitely.
great.
That's something that we could all learn to step back and learn these things. And
Yep,
definitely a lot of different animals can teach us different things for sure.
totally. Yep.
So with the social media presence,
Mhm.
your bird hunting has that grown into a different type of hunting as well? Or are you solely a bird hunter?
Solely a bird hunter, just because I do like being outside with her, and so it's just waterfowl and pheasants in the fall, and then turkeys in the spring, just to kill time. Um, you know,
Mhm.
but really, yeah, I haven't gotten into any kind of big game hunting. I do show interest. I mean, I kind of wanted to get started, but for now, I think it's just gonna. I mean, I just feel like all my time is spent bird hunting, and I can't justify taking a weekend away from bird hunting without my dog. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, it's
just thinking of
so
bird
cool.
hunting. Yeah, yeah.
It's a great thing that you're doing. Then you said that you had mentioned the R3, which is the referring and recruiting and retaining hunters, is what
Yes.
R3 is.
Mhm.
With that, I mean, you said your dad was a hunter. Did he help train you so that you could train your dog, or has he been your mentor?
Yeah, so my first year hunting, he was my mentor. So me and my dad butt heads a lot. Actually, we did have a really good relationship, before I started hunting, and so me and him always butt heads. We can't build a shed together or like anything together because we'll just argue. I mean, even
Oh
to this
no.
day, we'll just we'll just argue. But with hunting and him being my mentor, he's showed me so much great things that I would never have learned with by myself, right? Or I would have never. I felt like I would have never learned through someone else if it wasn't my dad. You know what I mean? And so every day I'm out there now, I look back and I'm like so grateful that I actually had him as a mentor, and I did take this dive into the hunting community and learning how to hunt, because if it wasn't for him, my experiences today would be completely different, right? And so, I cherish that relationship now with my dad. And my second year of hunting, that's when I started mentoring, is because, you know, I I wanted people not just to have the experience to learn how to hunt, but also, to share how I like to hunt, right? And teach them, right? And maybe give them opportunities that they don't have if if their dad doesn't hunt or their mom doesn't hunt, or if they don't come from a hunting family at all, right? And so that's where my love for mentoring came in. So
Yeah, and
yeah.
I think it's a great thing because, as you said, like an adult onset hunter, me being a hunter, a lot of people who've interviewed me in the past, they always want to know about women and hunting,
Mhm.
and the growth of women in hunting, the number of women that are out there. And really, the people that I get contacted by quite often are men
Mhm.
in like mid 20s to maybe mid 30s that don't have a family member that hunts, and they'll private message me and ask me for tips and advice. And it's like that little gap there. It seems like what I've seen is you're helping be a resource there and help cover that. And I just think that's super cool. So what kind of experience have you had so far in mentoring? How is that working out for you?
Oh, you know, it's good. It's working out really great so far. You know, every person I've mentored so far, I mean, they've always had a positive experience for me personally. And so, you know, what I like to think of as mentoring, I mentor them as, you know, as if they were going to be, as if they were my child, right? Or as if I was their uncle, right? And so, giving them productive spots to hunt, right? Giving them an opportunity to harvest an animal, right? I know a lot of people say that it's not about shooting an animal, but for me, mentoring, you know, to ignite that spark and to keep it going is my goal, and my job is to teach them everything I know and help them be successful, right? And also making sure that I don't push my own ethics on them, right? Making sure that letting them decide um, what's ethical at that point in time, right? Because I think all of us as hunters, our ethics change as we have experiences in the field. And you know, it's bad when it's upsetting when you push your ethics onto somebody else, and that's where you kind of create conflict. And so, you know, I always strive to make sure that my mentees have that experience where they can make mistakes, they can challenge their own ethics, or they can challenge my ethics as well, you know. And so just being open and being honest, and making sure at the bottom of it, making sure that we're safe and we are legal is what my kind of mentoring motto
Mhm.
is. And so
Yeah, and that's a priority, which is
right.
great that you're covering that. But this
Yep.
is something that a lot of people haven't discussed with me before, is
Mhm.
giving your mentee the time to make their own decisions, is what it sounds like you're telling me. And so
Mhm.
that's something for my listeners, if you haven't been bird hunting, that's actually something that's great about pheasant hunting, is you do have the time and the opportunity to talk through some of these things where
Mhm.
in some situations things are happening very quickly. But
Right.
what are some scenarios that you've been in where you've been able to offer up, like, hey, what do we want to do here?
Yeah, so you know, I kind of mentor from my own experiences too, right? So I remember like when I started hunting, I'm like, Dad, why aren't we walking in a straight line together, like 20 yards apart, like we see on TV, right? Because they're doing it and they're having success. But my dad's like, no, we're not doing that. We're gonna go out and each go in a different direction and just meet back at the car later, you know? And so his teaching style is, you know, you either sink or swim. And so, you know, he mentored, but he was like a tough mentor. And so when I mentor now, you know, when opportunities come to let them give them decisions, let's just say, for example, if we get to a parking lot, I would explain, okay, you know, we're the first ones here. There's corn over there. You know, ideally we would work towards the corn and push the birds, you know, back into the field, right? Hopefully, and we can do that way and circle and come back, and then I'll ask my mentee like, do you think that's a good decision, or what should we do? What else should we? What is another option that we can do that you think is good, right? And so, either they agree and we walk the way I want to walk, or they, you know, they have their own idea and I say, okay, let's do your way, right? And you know, no matter the outcome, we come back to the car and we just talk. We just discuss like, you know, what did we see? What happened? What could we do better next time? And so, you know, I think that really builds and encourages them to make mistakes, right? Or to try something new every time they go out. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And are you a parent?
No, I'm not
You're
a
not a parent
parent.
yet, right? I mean, because I
No.
don't, I was like, have I missed something? I don't think I missed anything. And I ask that because a
Hmm.
lot of what you're talking about is it taught in good parenting classes.
Yeah.
And I couldn't give you the names of all the parenting classes that I've seen before, but it's something that they teach in parenting, which also, as you are using it in
Hmm.
mentoring,
Yeah.
and I guess also teachers learn that as well, is a good
Hmm.
teacher will allow the students to make decisions. So I really admire the
Yeah.
way you're doing that.
Thank
And I've
you.
seen some funny instances in your videos of I don't know how you guys ended up in certain places. Maybe it was poor decisions. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, it goes back to, like I said, you know, whenever I mentor someone, it's not just meeting them one time and teaching them something. It's building a relationship with them, right? Making sure that we trust each other. And also, again, I'm teaching them as if they were my child, you know what I mean? Or as if I was their uncle, right? And like, I'm going to tell them everything I know, and we can build on that, right? And so again, that's like my motto is to, just foster that kind of mentoring atmosphere where, they can make those decisions on their own.
Yeah, raise
Yeah.
them up to fly and be and I would say to be good adults, but I'm sure a lot of them are already adults, and
Yeah.
they could be out on their own doing their hunting by themselves if they wanted to.
Yep.
With
Yep.
most of the ones you've mentored, are they still coming back and hunting with you, or have you seen them kind of go and start their own things?
Yeah, some come back and been hunting with me, and some of them, yeah, do go on their own and start their own things. Like this past fall, I took out a college kid duck hunting for his first time, and I remember there was some ducks swimming by, and they were like maybe 30 yards from the blind and sitting in the water, and he's like, can we shoot him? Can we shoot him? I'm like, yeah, like we could shoot him now. Like, like they're right there. So, some people say you can't, some people like to say you shouldn't shoot ducks on water, but that's my thing again with ethics is like, let them make the decisions that are ethical as long as it's legal and it's safe and it's a clean kill, right? And now he, ever since that moment, together, he's gone out by himself with his friends, right? And they're doing their own thing now. And so it's great really to see that. One thing I love about mentoring too is, us as hunters, we all have our first, right? We all have our first turkey, we all have our first deer or duck or pheasant. And mentoring allows you to have that experience again through someone else. And that's another reason why I love to mentor is just to see their reaction and their faces, like, like them being so happy and proud and holding an actual duck in their hand, right? It just makes me think back to my first time. And so, I wish I could be like there could be like 10 of me so I could just help mentor more people, right? So
Yeah, spread it even further. And that's something
yeah.
I've said for years is as a hunting guide, when you have first time hunters, you get to
Hmm.
experience, like you said, over and over and over again,
Yeah.
the ups and downs of the first hunt. And
Right.
when you're out there doing this mentoring, are you kind of doing individually on your own? Or are you working with
Mhm.
colleges or other organizations? How have you been finding your mentees?
Yeah, so just been on my own through social media. If whoever reaches out, really, I can never say no. So I'm always willing to help if as long as they're serious with getting to hunting, then I'm gonna be serious and help them as much as I can. Right. That's one channel. One channel is I'm doing a hunting coach. I'm a hunting coach for Modern Carnivore, and so moderncarnivore.com. His online it's an online like learn to hunt program, and so he's starting a hunting coach program, and so it's where mentees can sign up for coaches for a specific game that they want to do, and then also like these college clubs, and these other opportunities really just come through working with nonprofits and working with the community, right, and finding opportunities where they do have mentor programs going on. And so for example, backcountry hunters and anglers, the collegiate club, they have a turkey hunt every spring, and so I always like to volunteer my time to go and be a mentor for them. So and yeah, that's where I usually find all my mentoring opportunities.
Yeah, and that's cool.
Yeah.
Are you also working with Pheasants Forever?
Yeah. So right now I am doing blogging and also some content creation for Fences Forever, and so it's actually it's like a dream come true. Really, I remember when I first got into pheasant hunting and Googling pheasant hunting, the first thing that pops up is Pheasants Forever, right? Like pheasantsforever.org. And just watching all their content and seeing all their stuff um, that first time, I remember sitting back, I'm like, one day I want to be, working with Pheasants Forever. And the day has finally come. And so it felt so surreal, and it feels like a dream come true. So yeah,
Yeah, and
definitely. Yeah.
I saw one of your posts with that. It's something about that, and I was like, "That's so appropriate." Like,
Mhm.
it's such a wonderful match that and should have happened sooner. But it's awesome that you finally have that. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so with the content creation, I mean,
Mhm.
I don't know how many followers you have. I don't go and look at that kind of stuff, but has your social media kind of blown up or how's it going?
Yeah, social has been really good. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, those three main things, I think they've been going steady. And what I really focus on, I don't really worry about having a million followers, right? What I really worry about is having engagement and having open conversations on those social media platforms, making sure that my content isn't just something I'm doing because someone's paying me to do it, right? It's something because I'm actually passionate about it, right? And so I've been very careful with, brands and, what I do just to make sure that, I am being honest in what I like to use and what I like to do. And so, again, I don't worry about the numbers like you said. We don't worry too much about numbers. Again, I worry more about the engagement and the quality of the content I give out. So
Yeah,
yeah,
super good. And
yeah,
so on TikTok is primarily where I see your stuff.
yeah,
And I'm always I'll see cute dog videos and I'm like, oh, I have to send this over to Keng. This is
yeah,
hilarious. Or like
yes, yeah.
and with that, are you able, because I know I've had to change my angle there
Mhm.
because I'm not allowed to share guns or no harvest pictures of hunting. So it kind of makes it to me, that's partly why you asked about like, do you live on a ranch? Well, I
Mhm.
can share that stuff.
Yeah.
I can, so I haven't really found my purpose over there. But so for you with upland hunting, are you able to kind of share that and they're not flagging you?
Yeah, I say I'm like 50-50 because there are some stuff that, does involve the gun or does involve the tailgate, right? Or the harvest, right? And so those I do get flagged all the time, and some sneak through, but the algorithm does not like those. And so what I majorly focus on is just info and try to like kind of like I guess put out a message through more G-rated content or TikTok, So
Yeah.
it is a hard balance. It's tough because I feel so scared to talk about a gun, on TikTok
Mhm.
when really I really just want to tell people like, hey, this is a shotgun. This is how you load it. This is how you unload it. This is how you break it down. And that's just the the base foundation like knowledge for a user, right? And they won't even let me share that. And so it is tough, but um I think I think we'll get there. I'm optimistic, and there's other ways to make that message. So, but
Yeah. And are you able to share a different message on Instagram?
yeah, totally different. Different. Instagram isn't as censored, and um, I haven't been flagged or blocked at all on Instagram. So, but TikTok is where a lot of your newer audiences come in, right? And so Instagram is where your followers, the people who want to see and keep up with you, are there to follow you. And Instagram or TikTok is where people find you. And so
Yeah.
you kind of have to balance both. I feel like,
Right. Yeah.
yeah. So
I'm learning that balance because it's been a challenge for me. I definitely cannot post the same things on
yeah,
both platforms. So
right.
because of time, it has
Mhm.
skewed my Instagram too. And I'm like, well,
Totally.
I could still do that stuff over here, but I'm doing less because of the time constraints. And
Yeah.
so when you're out in the field, do you just use tripods for filming? How are you sharing your messaging? Are you having your friends that you're hunting with, they're helping you?
Yeah. So just an iPhone and tripod and friends around, like you said,
All of
so
it?
all of it. But whenever I kind of like, I don't plan my content too much, just because I like it to be authentic, right? And so when I do think of an idea, I do think of a content, I just then get in the mode and just start filming with my phone, right? It's not like I have a calendar of content that I want to film out this weekend when I'm hunting, right? It's more just, okay, let's go out and let's film what's happening, right? And so saves me stress. So
Yeah.
and it makes it more authentic, so
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
What are some fun things that have happened out there with you and your dog that you shared out to the world?
A lot of things. I mean, just really just being patient and learning from her, like I guess trusting her more than I should. So like I always doubt her sometimes, but she always just somehow makes a fool out of me. So, and vice versa. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm telling my friends, oh, she's so good, and then we get out there and she's just, she's not performing. And so, it's been really fun out every time with her. Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
So when we introduced you, you talked about R3
Mhm.
and you talked about conservation and your message with conservation. Um, you being a conservationist, how is that being received by different audiences? Do you get pretty positive feedback or are you getting pushback?
Yeah, I haven't got any pushback yet. To be honest, it's always been positive feedback. Because for me, I thought I was a conservationist before hunting, right? Like as a bird watcher or as someone who supports outdoor groups that weren't involved in hunting, right? I thought I was a big conservationist, but I really didn't understand how, I guess you could say, the world worked, right? Or how nature worked until I started hunting and making those connections, And so, like, I remember my first time going out in the field and hearing the birds wake up with, in the cold morning, and seeing everything wake up and seeing deer trails and seeing turkey tracks and just seeing how everything works together. And, that really opened my eye on, like, if we need if we want to understand our public lands more, or like nature more, that's hunting that's going to take you to that deeper level. And so that's what really pushed me into the conservation piece, is and working with all these nonprofits geared towards conservation, is to help spread that message of that we as hunters are the biggest, I guess, most knowledgeable for what we use, right? And so we want to preserve those places, and we know how. We have our own way of preserving those places, and so I hope that answers your question. But that's kind of a long way to say it. Like, yeah, so I haven't had any pushback at all. It's all been positive pushback. So
That's so cool. Yeah.
yeah.
And it's nice that you're able to spread that message and have it fall on the ears of people who apparently want to hear it if they're not
Mhm.
giving you pushback. And I
Yeah.
ask because sometimes on social media, hunters obviously get attacked by anti-hunters and different things like that. And
Mhm.
I hadn't seen anything like that in your comments. And that's partly why I
Yeah.
asked. 'Cause I know I haven't seen every single one of your posts, so I don't know
Mhm.
how they all go. So that was part
Yeah.
of why I was curious about it because
Mhm.
it might partly be because of your energy is just so positive that I
Mhm.
think it helps with people who are viewing your stuff. Do a lot of people that are viewing, do you think a lot of them are not hunters and they're just interested in you and what you're doing?
I think most of them are hunters, but a few of them are non-hunters. Some are dog people, right? And I remember this lady commenting, "Oh, if the ice is, one of my videos, my dog was like, we were hunting in like an inch of an inch thick of ice all over the field, right? And that can tear up your dog's paws pretty bad." And she commented, hopefully, you got her boots, and don't hunt her if it's in those that kind of conditions, right? And just being nice back, like, oh, thank you for your comment. Don't worry, she's been conditioned throughout the whole season. Her paws are perfectly fine, right? And not saying anything beyond that, And so I guess my take is, whenever I do feel a negative comment coming, I just either ignore it or I just push back with kindness, right? And so that's kind of, I kind of try to always ignore that negative feedback. So yeah.
That's great advice for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you, with your answer about being a conservationist,
Mhm.
what does conservation mean to you? I mean, like, why should we hunt?
Conservation to me means, protecting the last, our last, and creating more public spaces, right? For wildlife, where wildlife and humans can both benefit. You know what I mean? Meaning, if we're going to open up a field, let's make it for pheasants and other wildlife. Also, making sure that humans, whether you're a hunter or not a hunter, can benefit from that, from that conservation as well, right? And so, um, like, to me, like, my parents, they came here from Laos. They didn't have land. They didn't have money to buy land. Me coming here, I didn't know I had land, right? But I really did. It was right under my nose. It's public land, and so that really means a whole lot to me now. Like that public land piece is, I want to make more. I want to create more public land, preserve those public lands, but also making sure that humans can use it too, whether it, like, again, like I said, whether it's hunting or bird watching or studying, like anything really. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's 100% what I look at conservation as well, is those
Mhm.
spaces are for everybody. And that's something that I think is so cool that you realize that, okay, I have land here that,
Right.
it's not just the president's land, or, if we had kings and queens, it's not their land, it's the public's land. And it's
Totally.
great that you grasped that and you're utilizing it and sharing it with
Mhm.
others too. It's so cool.
Yeah, totally. And it goes back to like my mentoring too. A lot of people hate sharing on public land, you could say. A lot of hunters don't like to share their spots on public land. And I get that, like I don't share my secret spots too on public land. But there are public land nearby, and there are public land that I've been to that, are productive enough to give a new hunter that experience, right? Of killing their first animal, right? And so you don't have to give them your secret spots, but there's definitely spots that you can share them with them where they can learn from it, right? Whether it be understanding, how the crops were working around it, or how it was built. And yeah, it's just my message is, again, always to making sure that people understand public land is for us. So yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
So what do you have on this year, like looking up on the horizon?
Mhm.
The season ended there just the last month or recently
Yeah, in January.
in
Was when,
January.
yep.
Okay.
Mhm,
So
yeah.
you've recently ended the season. What do you have going on now in the springtime?
Yeah, so springtime turkey hunting, doing gonna be mentoring again with backcountry hunters and anglers, their collegiate club. So hopefully gonna get out for some turkey hunting with them. And then I trying to work on some brand deals with other companies, right? And so Trust for Public Land reached out to me, and so we like to me and a project manager, Nick Banks from there, talked, and we like to work out some kind of content where we can spread the message of what TPL does, right? And TPL is like, I didn't know what TPL did, but TPL basically they acquire land and make it public for whether it's a park, or whether it's a hiking park trail, or whether it's a WMA. And so I feel like a lot of people don't know where public land is created and how it's being created, and so that's kind of like where I'm going towards, is helping spread that message so that new users, even hunters themselves, can understand where it's coming from, and so we can all help each other really to
Yeah.
create those public spaces. So
Well, I look forward to learning more about that. I hope that deal ends
yeah.
up working out, and so we can learn more about it.
Yeah.
And then, so you'll be mentoring turkey hunts. What else
Mhm.
will you be doing throughout the summer? Do you have a lot of training or traveling or anything like that?
No, I save all my PT. I save all my PTO for hunting season because I like to take like 3 day or 4 day hunting trips, over the weekend. And so really summer is just relaxing and training the dog here and there. She's pretty experienced now, so it's just really a tune-up training for her. But really just relaxing and seeing where I can find more mentoring opportunities, and being a voice for my community, here in Minnesota. So
Yeah,
yeah,
cool. And are you going to
yeah.
be at the next POMA conference
I hope so. Yeah, I love
in
to come back.
Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like that Poma experience was so eye-opening, because I never knew so many people who are passionate about the same thing can comes together for that kind of event. You know what I mean? I met you there. I met, Kevin Paulson brought me there as a guest, and him and I have known each other for a while now, and if it wasn't for him bringing me there, like I would have never met you, would have never met some of the all the other amazing people that that were there. And I feel like a lot of my opportunities today are because of Poma, and so that one time at Poma really is just, again, it could be any convention or any event, but it's what you take out of it. And so I remember when I went to Poma, I'm like, I'm gonna connect with people who are passionate about the same things as me and build that relationship, right? And so like I remember you told me, someone said, introduced me to you. Like, this is Mia. She was the first woman on the outdoor magazine, right? On the and I was
Field
like,
and Stream.
oh, yeah, Field and Stream. I was like, oh my god, that's such an accomplishment. Like, like, and like, I was like, she's in it for the right reason. Like, I mean, I could just tell by your enthusiasm and your personality, like, your message is always clear with what you want to do in helping, create more hunting opportunities, just like me, right? And so I think that's where we connected. And again, same with other people that I met there, Matt Addington. Um, you know, it, like I said, that experience is all. I do want to come back, yes, and
Yeah.
share what I've been up to. So
Yeah, because that's the thing is it's like trying to catch up with where you've been up to has been,
yeah,
it's fun to watch all your social media. And of course, it's addicting to look at videos, but
yeah,
it was like, okay, but what is he doing and where is he going and where has he been and all of this stuff. And also,
yeah,
like I said, I would like to get together at some point. I mean, maybe if you came out to Colorado and
hmm
bring your dog or whatever. We don't have a lot of pheasant in our area, but we have grouse and stuff like that. And maybe we could go and ride horses up in the mountains and bring the dog
yes,
and go look for grouse.
yeah, totally.
And so in the fall, our season's in September, so is when it
Okay,
starts. So if you have time and you can take some time off.
yeah, no, definitely for you, I'd make time. But one thing though, I am deathly allergic to horses.
Oh
So
no! Well,
I
you can
know.
walk. No, I'm kidding.
I know. I just need to remember to take my allergy medicine every day. But no, I don't know why I love horses, but I'm deadly allergic. If I'm downwind of a horse, my eyes will start to swell and my throat will start to, tighten up. And it's crazy.
I've
But
met one or two other people that are allergic to horses too. One of my
yeah.
friends, he actually owned a off-road shop and he sold motorcycles and that
Mhm.
all off-road vehicle stuff. And he said that's why he did that is because he wasn't allergic to the motorcycles, but he's allergic to horses.
That's funny. Yeah, anything else I'm not like cattle I'm not allergic to, goats, sheep, but horses just get me. I don't know why.
That's interesting.
So
I'm gonna have to do some
yeah.
research and figure out what it is that people are allergic to with horses.
Yeah.
Too funny. Well, we can always hike. I'm a good hiker too.
Okay, okay.
For sure.
Yeah.
And have you been grouse hunting up in the mountains?
I have not, and yeah, definitely that's like a bucket list to do. I
Yeah.
feel, yeah. So yeah, I definitely take you up on that. I'll
Yeah,
see
we'd
you in
have
the
to do
fall.
that. And then I was
Yeah.
thinking, what's the elevation in Minnesota where you live? Are you like sea level?
Um, I think we're sea level. That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think we're sea level. Yeah.
I have a friend that came up archery hunting and we laughed because she came from like 300 feet and we hunted at like 9,000 feet.
Oh my
But
gosh.
partly why I ask is because something that would be really cool, but it would be hard on you and your dog possibly is to go hunt ptarmigan, and they're up
Oh yeah.
above timberline. And so that would be something that we could also play it by ear, see how you do the first day or two, and then we could try
Yeah.
to go up to higher elevations too. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
love
put it on
that.
your bucket list. I want to
Yeah,
do
for sure.
that.
For sure. I love that. I'd love to see. That's the thing with hunting too, is, like people like to travel places out overseas and, get these experiences, but really these experiences right under your nose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, like, just ptarmigan hunting or just even turkey hunting, like you think you've seen the US or just you've experienced the outdoors enough through hiking and through hiking, but really when you go into hunting, it's a whole different level of experience, and that's partly why I don't travel overseas or anything. It's because
Right.
I'm still learning and I'm still wanting to see these places right under my nose, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's definitely something that people have asked me because I'm a volunteer, but I'm a representative for SEI and I do a lot of different things for them, but I'm a regional
Mhm.
representative for Colorado. And with SEI, it's Safari Club International. So they automatically think of Africa.
Mhm.
And I've never been to Africa, and it's like, yes,
Yeah.
I have been to other places because with my work, different
Mhm.
organizations have taken me on trips, but I'm like, no, it's not about safaris. It's about
Right.
wildlife and conservation. So
Totally.
there is so much you can do here. And that's something that I've done with different people is like, okay, you come visit me and I want to go visit you. And learn why people hunt different ways too, because
Yep.
right here in the United States, there's different things up there than over here. And why do you do it that way? And we can learn
Yeah.
from each other. So,
Totally. Yep.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
and something that I try to do, and I've kind of forgotten in past episodes, is I try to give my listeners some fun wildlife facts.
Sure.
And since you've been out there pheasant hunting and you've worked with pheasants forever, or I mean, any birds, whether it's turkeys or whatever hunting you want to talk about, do
Mhm.
you have any fun facts that you've learned about wild animals now that you've been out there hunting for 6 years?
Yeah, so fun fact with ducks is you think they migrate based on just weather, right? But ducks migrate on a calendar as well, so like a time calendar. And so, some ducks will migrate ahead because it's the day that they migrate, right? It's not just because there's a big storm front coming from behind them, And so, when you're duck hunting, you look at, making sure you're trying to observe what's a calendar migrator and what's a weather migrator, right? And so, that's one thing, a great thing I learned about ducks. And turkeys too is with turkeys, I feel like a lot of people overthink how to hunt turkeys, and really, a turkey, just don't overthink it. Just go out there and keep it simple, right? Um, I feel like you can overcomplicate any situation, but really with turkeys, just go out there, sit in a blind, and just wait, just listen and watch. You know what I mean? And um, that's what's great about turkey. That's what I love about turkey hunting. So, but those are just some, I guess, some of the fun facts I've learned really through my experiences. And I guess I share one pheasant because I do work with pheasants forever. Pheasants. Let's see. One cool fact I learned about pheasants is that I've noticed that roosters will dig up food plots for hens. You know what I mean? So, like with thicker snow and heavier snow cover, a lot of the foraging opportunities are under that snow, right? And so, if there's not a rooster around, it's kind of hard for the hens to dig up, under that snow to get to the dirt. And so, it's good to have some roosters around just because they are stronger. I mean, they're really hard to shoot and hard to find already, but like with their tough build, like they're able to dig under that snow for those hens. That's just what I've noticed from my observations. And so,
Yeah. And so their
nothing
bills are
scientific.
bigger.
Their feet are bigger, they're stronger, and their bills are bigger. Yeah, like they could just get under that snow a lot quicker and easier than a hen would. And so what you'll see, I mean, you have chickens too, but like, a rooster will kind of peck around at food, right? And to get, and make a clucking noise to get all the hens to come around. Like just kind of like in the wild there, like a rooster will be that one, that rooster or a rooster would be that one where they're digging up that snow, right, for these hens and finding food for them, just like chickens do. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I've noticed that in roosters as
That's so
well.
interesting. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Very cool. I appreciate
Yeah.
that you had not just one fun fact, but three.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're helping me catch up from missing this a few times.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure. So,
Sure.
any other things that you want to share with my audience that you think they should know about hunting or getting into hunting or mentoring?
Yeah, I guess one message I want to make sure, again, to touch on again is, for your listeners is, if you are a mentor, just making sure that you don't push your ethics on your mentee or even your child, right? And what do I mean by that is, like, if there's a grouse on the ground and you think that it's not okay to shoot a grouse on the ground, but for your mentee, they might think it's okay to shoot a grouse on the ground, right? And so, even though you might disagree with shooting grouse on the ground, making sure that you give them the opportunity to do it, right, that one time or multiple times, but doing so allows them to, I guess, understand more, and their ethics will change based on those experiences, right? Just like you, when you were a child or when you started hunting, there's some times that you've made an unethical decision, or that you look back and you're like, oh man, that was not ethical, right? And now today you realize that you've changed that. And so again, because you had those experiences and your ethics are where they are, doesn't mean that whoever you mentor, their ethics are not at the same level as you, right? And so making sure that, you know, you don't push your ethics on them. And that will foster, you know, again, a welcoming and safe relationship to build and keep a new mentor, a new hunter. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's my message.
It, it's great advice. And it's something that I think is we can all learn. And as I said, just not even specific to hunting, but in life in general. So
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
appreciate that you brought that to the show because it's something that nobody has said before. And
Okay.
it's super important. So thank you
Yeah.
so much for that.
Hmm.
Before I let you go, I also wanted to give you a chance to let people know where they can follow you or find your work or the people that you're working with.
Oh, sure. So you can follow me, your followers can follow me on Instagram at Keng Yang one. So KengYang 1. TikTok, Minnesota Hunter, Facebook, Minnesota Hunter, and my website or my blog, minnesota-hunter.com. And so that's usually where anybody can find me. But, you know, and then your second question, you know, yeah, right now I'm working with the DNR R3 committee, the DNR NHAC committee, BHA, Fences Forever, Delta Waterfowl, and the Minnesota Conservation Federation. So that's all my involvement
Just a
as of
little. You're
today.
not doing too
Just a
much.
little. Just a little. Yeah.
Yeah, all important things that you're doing. And so, with your stuff with these organizations, do you
Mhm.
put updates about that on your blog?
Not yet, but I'm going to be starting to. Yes, because I think it
Okay.
is because I am starting to get into more of the policy stuff, and so I know I was like I remember telling myself I'm not getting into policy, I'm not getting into politics, but you know, I think my journey just kind of brought me here into
Yeah.
that. And so, yeah, I'm gonna be posting more about policy, and you know, my work on the NHAC committee. So NHAC is the Natural Heritage Advisory Committee. So it's a committee to help protect Minnesota species that are non-game, right? And so, let's say like just prairie or you know frogs and fish that you can't harvest, right? And so I like to be on that committee, and I encourage other hunters to be on committees that are non-hunting, just so that we have a voice at the table, right? And making sure that again that whatever we do for public land, that it's accessible to everyone, not just bird watchers or not just hunters. You know what I mean? That it's a community space. So yeah,
Definitely.
yeah,
And I don't know if you know, I'm heavily involved in politics now. And I always
I
said
saw
I would
that.
never have anything to do with politics. But when you're passionate about things and your things are getting
Yes,
attacked, you get involved. Or, I mean,
yes.
some people aren't getting involved. I don't know why.
Yeah, I think we're like the anomalies where we're like we have to get involved. You know what I mean? We can't just sit there and not do
Yeah.
anything,
I
especially
mean,
for what we you know, like you said, especially when what we love is getting attacked. We have to speak up. We have to get involved. And so yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna reach out to you more for that policy help because I think we can exchange ideas and pick each other's brains.
yeah.
So
Or you might see me with tears in my eyes. I don't know. Hopefully not. But
yeah,
I try to keep a positive attitude, but it's getting exhausting in our state.
yeah.
It's
Oh,
tiring.
I'm sure.
Um, but I think people like you, I mean, with your passion and your energy, and I mean, I actually have passion and energy too, but
Yeah, yeah,
it's something that definitely needs to be shared. And so I'm glad to hear you saying that, oh yeah,
yeah.
I never wanted to get involved in this, but it's important to have your voice at the table and, at
Right.
these meetings so that you can let them know your perspective. 'Cause that's what I've found is a lot of the people,
Hmm.
they just don't understand. They just haven't been there. So
Yeah,
they can't empathize with what you're
with you.
doing. And that's something that's trying to help them through that process. And sometimes we can agree, sometimes we don't, but at
Mhm.
least your thoughts are considered if you're there to tell them.
Right. Or at least let's come to like an agreement or as you know
Hmm.
something, right? You know,
A
so
little give take, yeah.
yeah, give take.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Well, I'm so glad to hear what you've been up to, and I'm glad to see that your involvement is grown. And as you said, getting taken this way and that way and doing all these things, but you're doing a lot of good stuff. And so I'm
Thank you,
excited
Mia.
to hear about it.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
thank you, Mia. Appreciate hearing that too. So
Yeah. Well, thank you
yeah,
for taking
yeah.
some time to
Mhm.
be on my show and to share with my listeners. Hopefully, they're learning a lot from you. And hopefully, I'll see you in June in Oklahoma. If not,
Yes.
then maybe in September in Colorado.
Yes, definitely. And thank you again for having me. I love just talking and sharing my message. So thank you for giving me this opportunity as well. So
You
yeah.
bet.
We'll see you soon.
Okay.
Yeah.